started with our panel, and it's titled Crafting the Self, Black Embodiment and Cultural Production. We have a number of really great presenters who are giving different insight, and my name is Ji Kang. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a visiting assistant professor in the Women and Gender Studies program at Denison University in Ohio. It's a private liberal arts college. And my research explores Afro-Asian connections and interactions in media, music, literature, and transnational museums. So the title of my talk today, as you can see here, is called Rethinking Women in K-pop and Hip-hop, Transnational Connections of Power. So I will get started. This presentation is part of a larger project that I am envisioning centering feminist Afro-Asian connections and representations of women's resistance seen through literature and the arts. And today I will be focusing on contemporary hip-hop and K-pop as musical genres that women of color are being highlighted in and also using for their purposes. My central research question for this presentation is, in a world that is becoming increasingly globalized, how can K-pop and hip-hop artists provide collaborations that promote solidarity and empowerment despite the dangers of cultural appropriation? I'll be using critical discourse analysis and media analysis by analyzing lyrics and aesthetics seen in Black hip-hop, Korean hip-hop, and K-pop. Before we get to the ways in which women artists are collaborating and resisting stereotypes, we must look at what they are resisting. So hip-hop has been criticized as a genre that sexually objectifies women, and we see this continuing in the present day. But I see a movement towards female artists who are trying to break free from that. The sexualization of women's bodies in hip-hop is seen in the work of popular artists including Nicki Minaj, Cardi B, and Glorilla, among many others. For instance, cultural scholar Therese Renee White draws connections between Saartjie Baartman, a Khoikhoi woman who was exhibited as a freak show attraction in the 19th century Europe space under the show name Hottentot Venus, and compares her to the sexualization that we see of Nicki Minaj's body. White criticizes Nicki, saying that, quote, the 2011 hip-hop chart topper has been publicly acknowledged more for her large buttocks than her rap talent, end quote. Sexualization and sexual commodification of Black women can also be seen in stereotypes used in mainstream media, such as the figure of the Jezebel, which is a sexually aggressive Black woman mainly constructed during slavery to rationalize white men's sexual assault on Black women's bodies. Hip-hop artists who are open about embracing their sexualization, including Lil' Kim and Nicki Minaj, have been seen as Jezebel figures. However, other women artists, such as Megan Thee Stallion, are challenging the criticism of them by acknowledging the ways that they are being objectified and commodified. For instance, in her most recent album titled Megan, Stallion overtly criticizes her haters. In her song titled Hiss, she says, quote, my pussy's so famous, might get managed by Kris Jenner next, end quote, referring to how she acknowledges the sexualization of her body, and yet how that sexualization itself makes her famous as a Kardashian or Jenner, as she mentions the momager of the Kardashian-Jenner clan. She also uses her body to gain power over her enemies, seen from when she says, quote, always got my ass out, always let my titties show when I'm in the gym, I think about bitches that I'm shitting on, end quote. And this is also from Hiss. So Hiss was widely popular and earned her first solo #1 hit on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. So it seems that Black artists are acknowledging the ways that their bodies are being commodified and sexualized, and even using it to garner popularity and cult following. The sexualization of women in K-pop occurs a little bit differently from Black hip-hop, as the women are either seen as innocent and demure showgirls and schoolgirls from girl groups such as Twice and New Jeans, or highly sexualized women seen from other groups such as AOA and LE SSERAFIM, among others. The sexualization of women in K-pop groups is even more problematic because most of the group members are underaged. While the sexualization has led to immense popularity for the groups, it's hard to say whether the girl groups are using these knowingly for their own purposes or simply trying to cater to a mainstream audience, since much of their artistic choices are made by their management companies. However, some cultural scholars, such as Eric Raven, have seen artists such as Hyuna using her body for social benefit, that is, to, quote, commit feminist acts of subversion against traditional expectations for Korean women in order to attract social attention and criticism for the purpose of promoting positive change for women, end quote. This is especially powerful because South Korean views of women are still very traditional and rooted in Confucian beliefs that emphasize women's chastity, purity, and heterosexuality. In turn, we see Korean hip-hop and K-pop artists, especially such as Jessie, Yoonmire, and CL, recognizing the sexualization and using that as tools for speaking out. In the face of criticism by mainstream society on K-pop and hip-hop artists, I see a connection specifically in how Korean hip-hop, K-pop artists are heavily influenced by Black hip-hop artists and their idea of the baddie or the bad bitch. The idea of the bad bitch originates from hip-hop culture and scholar Cheryl Keyes, who argues that the baddie represents a powerful, desirable, yet dangerous woman. She states that the attitudes of these bad girls are associated with the reclamation of their term bitch from being a difficult woman to, quote, an aggressive or assertive female who subverts patriarchal rule, end quote. The OG baddies include Black American women rappers from the 1990s, including Lil' Kim, Foxy Brown, and Trina Taylor, among others. These women are not afraid of speaking out against patriarchal control, and they demand to be treated with respect, referring to themselves as being the baddest. We see these ideas being co-opted by contemporary hip-hop artists such as Cardi B and Nicki Minaj in the ways that they bring much more overtly roles in embracing their sexualization and also focus on the money and fame that they are bringing in. In the interest of time, I can't go into the history of how the baddie has evolved in hip-hop, but I wish to focus on the Afro-Asian connections and how Korean hip-hop and K-pop artists have co-opted the idea of the bad bitch to speak out against stereotypes that see them as submissive, soft-spoken, and one-dimensional. For example, in the song Hello Bitches, released in 2015 by CL, she is unapologetic about her ability to express her sexuality. She uses the visual images of snakes, reminiscent of Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion's WAP music video, to symbolize the themes of being dangerous and in control, and actively disputes international stereotypes of Asian women being sex objects when she says, quote, want me to love them long time, and I tell them no, end quote. To set the historical context, Me Love You Long Time refers to the words that were popularized by the 1987 movie Full Metal Jacket, which portrays a Vietnamese sex worker who was soliciting American GIs. The phrase has since been used to hypersexualize and objectify Asian and Asian American women in the media and mainstream society. By using those words, CL reclaims them and defies the notion that Asian women are submissive sex objects. In the music video, she is visibly represented as being in control of the woman as she is seen sitting on a throne which is held up by masked, shirtless men. Throughout the video, she positions herself as being in control, whether that be on the dance floor, the throne, or in a business meeting. Similarly, in her song Spicy, released in 2021, she's also unapologetic in her declaration of being from Korea, where she says, where we from, them Koreans getting up higher, end quote, referring to the larger connection to her country and elevating it as a whole. She also denounces stereotypes in this song, saying, quote, stereotypes are my penalty. How dare you worry about me, end quote. Visually showcasing the sense of pride and nationalism, she experiments with many different dance sequences, including a scene in which she's fully clothed, even wearing a balaclava-styled knitted mask, while various men who are bare-chested dance and congregate around her. You can see that in the image here. The choice to feature herself and the female dancers in other scenes fully clothed while having the male dancers congregating around her with their chests exposed and flailing wildly visually showcases her as being at the center of attention and was a refreshing change from other hip-hop music videos, which usually feature hardly clothed women who seem to be appealing to the male gaze. The way that Korean women artists have used the term goes along with the idea of women using their bodies as an arena to exhibit soft power, which scholars Nay and Kim describe as attraction that makes others want what you want, and co-ops people rather than coerces them. Through the women and their influence on a global scale, for instance, CL's Hello Bitches has over 41 million views on YouTube. K-pop is increasingly being used by entertainment companies and the country itself as a tool for soft power to garner international acclaim. Meanwhile, other Korean hip-hop and K-pop artists reclaim being darker-skinned, especially seen by artists including Yoonmi. Yoonmi, also known by the name Tasha Reid, is a particularly powerful example as she is a mixed-race Black and Korean hip-hop artist who is well known as being one of the first-generation women artists in the Korean hip-hop scene. Yoonmi is definitely a bad bitch in how she takes ownership of her identity and calls attention to society. Her bad bitch energy is reminiscent of the messages towards inclusion and social justice seen by OG Black hip-hop artists including Queen Latifah, Lauryn Hill, and Rhapsody, among others. Artists like Yoonmi utilize hip-hop as a way to express her mixed-race identity. In her song Black Happiness, she shares her own experiences as the song is autobiographical. And the music video opens with a video of her birthday party and children singing to her in English. I'll play a little bit of the video to show you a little bit of her style and the themes of her song.
있었던 어리적 내 살생 사람들은 손가락질해 내 맘이 한채 내 바삐는 흑인 미군 여기저기 죽은 때도 이렇군 저렇군 내 눈가에는 항상 눈물이 고여 어렸지만 엄마의 슬픔이 보여 모든 게 나 때문인 것 같은 죄책감에 하루에 수십 번도 넘긴 난 내 얼굴을 씻었네.
So as you can see, the opening lines state, "My skin used to be darker than others when I was younger. People pointed fingers at my mom and my dad, a Black American soldier. My eyes would always feel filled with tears." And this is translated lyrics, telling the story of differing treatment she received growing up in South Korea as a mixed-race child. The song relates the story of her life and how music became a way for her to express her thoughts and ultimately love herself. She says later in the chorus, "When I hate the world, music gets me back on track. You gotta hold on and love yourself." Her song is a powerful testament that explores the ongoing problem of racism and colorism that exists in South Korea. Skin color determines not only social acceptance, but social and economic mobility as well. In addition to calling out problems of racism, she also is very open about her views of gender issues. For instance, in her song Get It In, released in 2011, she references body image issues impacting women on a global scale. It is no surprise that issues with body image and eating disorders affect women disproportionately, and these issues have only been exacerbated by inspiration posts proliferating through social media. In response to ongoing issues that women are facing, Yoonmi wonders if there would be a place where she can escape to, a place that is mine, all mine. She gestures towards cross-cultural solidarity and extends the call towards collective space and invites others when she says, quote, "and we can get it in," end quote. In the music video, she exemplifies the idea of the warrior bad bitch, and she's shown to be a warrior that defeats a group of men with a sword. And I'll show you a clip showing this. So this warrior baddie idea I see a lot more in contemporary videos of Black hip-hop artists, including Missy Elliott and more recently Nicki Minaj and Megan Thee Stallion. The English version of the song shows cross-cultural connections as well, as it features Smokey Robotic, a multicultural independent art collective, and was produced by the Black American producer DJ Premier, who's also done other Afro-Asian collaborations. In the midst of ongoing criticism about appropriating Black culture, which K-pop artists such as Lisa from Blackpink and CL have faced, which these artists should definitely address, it is clear that women artists are being more integrated through the rise of globalization and social media, and I'd love to talk more about the dangers of appropriation in the Q&A portion. So to conclude, I see how the figure of the baddie has been co-opted and translated across American and Korean spheres by female artists who are using it to promote feminism. Korean artists' views of the baddie are culturally specific as it relates to stereotypes placed on Asian women being submissive and culturally monolithic. On a larger level, we see collaborations between artists including Megan Thee Stallion's feature in BTS's songs, as well as fan bases' interactions with each other, which have promoted international cross-cultural solidarity and feminist resistance, seen from how the groups came together to support Megan Thee Stallion and even donated funds to Black Women for Wellness. Other collaborations include CL's collaborations with artists like the Black Eyed Peas and Blackpink's work with Cardi B. Global connections and Afro-Asian connections extend beyond the artists themselves to the fan base as a whole. And looking to the future, I see the figure of the baddie will continue to be a powerful thread in the midst of these connections. Thank you.